What if nothing is wrong? But sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. Letting go of something may mean that we have to use slightly abstract exercises in order to understand what we're going through. In today's episode, we're talking about mythical frameworks and how they really help us in transitions and the journey of self development that so many of us are going through. As always, I'm joined by my co host, Adam. How are you today?
Amazing. Thanks, brother. Very excited for the topics we're going to be talking about today. Good to be here with you. Good to see you all again, Inner Earthlings. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy this one.
Yes, of course. Also, for me, a big welcome. It's great that you're here. Yeah, as I already mentioned in the short intro, we it's so often that we find ourselves in a really destabilized situation, and then our rational mind tries to find a way to find a logical solution to the situation. But we have come to learn that sometimes to approach this and look through a more mythical lens, it really helps to understand what's going on. Adam, how how does it land for you?
Oh, it lands amazingly well, and that's what Inner Earth, why I created Inner Earth. That's where that kind of program came from. It speaks to it speaks to the Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, part of what I drew on to create the initial Pathfinder program. And I thought I would just drop in a quote by the late great Joseph Campbell as well on the power of myth. There's an amazing series on Amazon actually that you can watch with him on, that was shot in like the 1970s. But anyway, this is the quote: "Mythology is the penultimate truth. Penultimate because the ultimate cannot be put into words. It is beyond words.
Say that again.
Mythology is the penultimate truth. Penultimate because the ultimate cannot be put into words. It is beyond words."
Wow.
Beyond words.
Yeah,
So we don't have to say anything now. Um,
that's really deep.
I think I think the power of myth in personal development essentially is that it takes something untangible and creates a tangible framework for you to use and work with. It gives you a deeper meaning and purpose for what you're going through. It speaks to what we've talked about before, like looking at the two different perspectives: life happening for me or through me, rather than to me. I think myth and looking at personal development through a spiritual or mythical lens gives us that deeper meaning, a deeper understanding of life and actually what's going on, which also feeds into what we've talked a lot about in terms of curiosity, um, rather than it just being a series of haphazard, black and white, random, experiences that we can't that we have trouble drawing any form of meaning from, that just feel deeply uncomfortable and painful.
I love that. And what came to mind while you explained this is sometimes it is good to create an avatar of yourself, especially in this meaning finding situation, right? So you're not directly attached with the question and the outcome, but if we reference back to the Pathfinder program, when you go through the kingdom, and excuse me, for some of you, this might not make immediate sense, but if you go through these mythical realms, you're not directly or immediately attached to this, but you allow yourself in a mythical way to explore what what is and what can be.
Yeah, the mythical framework gives you it's kind of game for me. It kind of gamifies everything. It gives you this world. It world builds for you. and it enables you to look at yourself, like you said, as the avatar entering this domain, this world, this realm, and it because the because that realm is made up of a kind of metaphorical and mythical kind of landscape and has different elements. You, as the avatar, can start to look at how you relate to that environment, how you relate to the other characters in that environment, and the reason why this is so powerful because it's giving you loads of information about like who you are ultimately, and that is what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you a direct experience of taking you into an environment, you then looking at that environment and how you relate to all of the elements that make up that environment, and that in turn is giving you all of this information about like who you are, and that is the point of the journey that we're taking people on. And so when we enter all of these different realms, in a very kind of kind of linear way, on a linear sort of journey. Each of these realms, because they're so different in terms of their landscape, the environment, their deeper meaning, they're showing you a different aspect of yourself, and they're giving you a deeper understanding of self in relation to each one of those. And through going on that whole journey, it's only going through that whole journey that you really get to know who you are in all of these different realms and these different levels.
That's beautiful. And especially if you're in between these identities, right? Something's ended and inevitably something new will is on the horizon. But because in this 3D model of reality, most of us, me included, you have this urge to rush through. But then through this mythical lens that we are trying to put in front of us, we are able to take a breather, take a step back and allow this journey to unfold without rushing through.
Yeah, absolutely. It calls on us to spend a bit more time there to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. Um, like you said, rather than wanting to rush through, which is a symptom of the society that we're living, isn't it? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's the next thing I'm going to be doing? Where am I going after this? Like what? No, just be here now. Be in that now. Sit with yourself. Sit in that discomfort or comfort. Be in that moment. What's it showing you? What am I learning about myself? Um, yeah, I it's an important part of the process of getting to know yourself for sure.
We talked about this in previous episodes, but I'm keen to hear your thought on this, especially in the context of the mythical realms we're talking about. Sometimes spirituality can become almost an excuse for us to bypass what's necessary. And I
Mm.
wonder how you use kind of how you bring in yourself in order to stop the spiritual bypassing on these journeys.
Bring in myself. How do you? What do you mean?
Yeah, well, you as the as the guide, working with
Yeah.
clients,
Hmm.
you're the one responsible to say, "Oh, hold
Mm.
up, I know what's happening."
Yeah. My role is my role is that I don't have the answers. I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong for you. I'm here to take you on a journey, to introduce you to these different concepts, these realms, and to ask you reflective questions about your relationship to these different mythical realms and concepts. And it's through the answers that you come up with based on those questions that you start to understand who you are. Um, but I'm also there to maybe pull you up on things if I can hear there's some form of kind of contradiction going on. If you're saying one thing but doing another, is there like a congruence between your thoughts, words, and actions, or are they in are they in conflict? Um, and so I'm offering my service as a way of you speaking to me and me reflecting back to you what I'm hearing, essentially. You know, that's at the heart of counselling and therapy as well, you know, reflective listening, um, taking a very non-judgmental approach. We call it the core conditions in counselling. Um, so yeah, that's my role, but it's very much like I said. It's not here to give the answers. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. What's right, you know, what's one man's food is another man's poison. So it's very much important for me that the journey that we go on finds your truth, not mine or someone else's.
And it's so important to do this with someone. I mean, I know you personally very well, but also as a business partner now, I think this honesty and this reflection, especially in this time of transitioning from, the identity loss that just occurred to then moving through a very uncertain period where nothing makes sense anymore.
Mm,
So I find this, yes, of course, no one has the answers for anyone,
mm,
but at the same time, it's good to have a sounding board by your side who inevitably, I mean, I'm the first one to
mm,
admit, especially when things get hard, I'm really really easy to say, right, let's get this over with. Let's ignore all the signs or just listen to the signs that my confirmation bias
mm.
says that's what we have to do. So I think it's really important to find this great balance between allowing to the answers to come up within each of us, but also
Mm.
having someone skillfully kind of navigate those moments.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, brother. Sounding board intuition is something that's really important to me. And yeah, just before we started recording this episode, we had a moment where you were going through some kind of technical difficulty, and you were talking about it to me, and you kind of figured out the answer as you were speaking it to me, you know. And
Yeah.
that's essentially what we're talking about here. And I speak to clients about it all the time, like you've got all of these understandings and concepts that are all floating around in your head, but I sort of see them all as like a jumbled piece of wool, you know, a ball of wool, you know. And when you get to speak about what's in your head to someone else, you get to take that ball of wool and you get to lay it out in a nice straight line. And you can start to see that now that is untangled, you can start to see more clearly what's going on, you know. And often we do find the answers to our problems just through talking to someone else without them actually needing to give us any advice. It's the power of just allowing yourself to hold that space for someone and allowing them to speak into it, um, because and that allows them to find their own truth. And ultimately, that's if you find your own truth, that's going to have a much more impactful and integrative effect on your moving forward in the future, rather than me saying to you, oh Roman, this is you and this is the way you should be. It's going to be a kind of a concept that's your subconscious hasn't thought of itself. So it's very important that you come to your own conclusions, and that can be done through, you know, guiding people into the right with the right questions.
That gave me goosebumps because I would like to add a quote to this because I think this links perfectly to what you just said. Transformation does not ask us to become more than we are, but to be more fully what we are.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't ask us to
Be-
be more
mm.
of something, but to be more fully of what's already there.
Mm. Yeah. More of you. Be more of you. Yeah. Absolutely. Allowing all of you to come through.
And this, you said it so perfectly. It's not about to give anyone answers, but to encourage them to have the courage to live their being fully, right? Their purpose, whatever it is,
Mm.
whatever questions arise and the answers that come inevitably with it. But it has to come from from this deep inside knowing of
Mm.
self.
Yeah. Yeah, what the only thing I want to give you as someone, as a client, is I want to give you a deeper understanding of yourself. Like, you you are the best person at being you. There's no one else in the world who can be you as well as you can. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is to help you to recognize that and celebrate it, and share it with the world in its fullness.
Oh, goosebumps. Wow, Adam, that's amazing.
Goosebump
Um,
episode.
yeah, goosebump episode. I love that. Let's land the spaceship. Dear Earthlings, thank you again so much for watching. It's been great to have you here. In the show notes, you find all the information, the links to the website innerearth.co.uk. Our Instagram account is there. If you want to hop over there, give us a like and follow. But also here, um, share this episode with someone who might be needing of this information. It helps the algorithm, these silly YouTube shenanigans, but we know it all off by heart. I can't thank you enough. We're really honored that you're watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Adam, any last words?
Thank you to you, brother. Thank you for asking questions that allow me to share, these words and something that I'm very passionate about. And thank you to all the inner earthlings joining us, watching us, and listening to this. We really appreciate your attention and look forward to seeing you on the next one.